Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot and welcome to another session of the weekly live TA with elite members from my Patreon community. In this video, we do it once a week and it's a private session, as I mentioned, with elite members. What we do basically is we let all my members pick their coins, and today we have a quite long selection of coins, starting with Solana, Ethereum, SUI. We have also SPX, AAVE, WIF, EIGEN, Injective. We have DOGE. Well, it's been a while. And then we have plenty of coins with just one vote. So, guys, if you haven't voted for your coins, I'm talking about to my elite members, make sure that you do. I'm going to refresh just before getting started with the first chart. Let me explain if you're watching this video, because this video is going to go live tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. So when it's live on Friday, anybody is going to be able to watch it. And if you are interested in joining one of these private sessions, well, the difference is that you can join live. You get to choose the coins. You get to ask questions. I have right here. Let me set up the chat so I can read all your comments. And if you have any questions while I'm doing TA, that will be fantastic. You can just write down there anything that you want me to add. So it's a very interactive weekly old session, we could call it. So I'm gonna just get started, and if you have any questions, of course, leave it down there. I have it in front of the camera so I don't miss any of your questions, but we're gonna get started with Solana. And let's have a very quick look at Solana. So Solana is kind of going back into the middle range, right? So it's been first it had a rally into $300, and then we put a new low, but then we are back to where we used to be since pretty much February 2024. Contrarian to what Bitcoin did, right? So Bitcoin, we had a megaphone pattern, we broke out, and so far we've been defending that. That is thanks to bouncing from 74K, which kind of gave a kiss to that 73.5. In the case of Solana, there's been a bit more bearishness. Of course, we've been talking about how miserable was this breakout, because on Bitcoin, this breakout managed to hold. On the RSI of Solana, we lost multiple layers down. So you can see kind of the clock, how it went from this, and then this, and then this, then flat, and then pointing down. So pretty much that's how we lost everything. And now we have reclaimed that 47 that used to be support, and that was bullish. But this rally that we have had so far in here from the global resistance, it has given up, not unrecoverable. So we can still carry on to the upside, but I will say one of the next points that we need to defend is this 47, because we came back into that range, right? So we lost the 47 and then we came back up and we rally, and we could say that what Solana is currently doing is retesting a little bit too deep for a retest, um, for my taste, but Solana hasn't been very bullish. So it's doing a little bit more exaggerated things at this point in time. That's fine. And on the price action, that retest is kind of evident as well against this downward sloping trend line. You can see that we are getting into the 150, which is also reflecting psychologically like a middle ground between 300. We are at 150 and we hit the lows of 100. So you get the point. There's a lot of psychological numbers going around this area. And I will say, let's look a little bit of what else I'm seeing. So interestingly, with the rally, the bulls went pretty much all in, back into almost the highest levels of longs that reach 65. So it kind of needed a little bit of take out some of the excessive longs so we can move higher. Because if you look at these statistics and you put a line here, Solana has been extremely bullish multiple times since 2022, but statistically speaking, it hasn't broken that 65 ever, we could say. So that's fine. That's healthy to flush the longs. But let's say let's retest that 46 and let's carry on to the upside. That will be nice to see. In terms of socials, it's not that quiet for Solana at the moment. So we are not pinching the very low end. It's not that quiet compared to other coins that we're going to see later. You can see we are getting kind of in the median in here of the Bollinger Bands apply to social dominance, which is coming straight from Lunar Crash. Something really cool, guys, is I don't know if you notice, but down here on TradingView, there's the crypto pairs screener. And apparently, TradingView is going to change from having it there into having it on the side. Okay. And you can, if you go to the crypto pairs screener in the lower end of your TradingView chart and you hit it, you're going to get this prompt that says, try the new screener. And the new screener is fantastic. It's this thing here. And it's not just fantastic because it's got a lot of data, but also because it refreshes live, one, and it includes data from Lunar Crash. Okay. You can incorporate in your custom view anything you want. And you have sentiment. And within sentiment, you have old rank, galaxy score, social dominance, and a lot of things. So I keep it, when I look at alts this way to see out of the 100 top market cap, what is performing better, not just from technicals. Remember, old rank is socials. And if you put it downwards, from highest to lowest, you get what is underperforming. So both things are incredibly useful to know that something that you are very bullish on at some point is very low in alt rank. That could be an opportunity, something to look for along. Remember, we don't want to buy tops, right? So that is very clear. And going back into Solana, back into topic, I hope you find useful that I do find it for myself. I'm gonna leave it in ascending so it looks more sexy. What's performing today, of course. And let's look into liquidation levels for Solana before we go into the next coin. And let's use trading different, of course. Let's upgrade in here. Where is Solana? There you go. And do we have daily? Perfect. And I think I was reviewing this the past week as well. And we put a double top and we couldn't take the liquidity at 189. And I think that is a consequence that Bitcoin hasn't managed either to take 113. So 113 is kind of equivalent. We say if we get a breakout above the neckline of 107, sorry for that. If we get the break of the neckline on Bitcoin on 107, then Solana can also, break above this and hit 189. So after all, they're all very coupled. At the moment, Solana is going into this liquidation of 140. There's an area of interest. That doesn't mean it's guaranteed. Don't overread what I'm saying. But that 130, I think it ends at 135, is looking pretty sexy for this move down. And that could be that from there we have a bounce, and that's it. That depends on obviously Bitcoin also finding support where that will be like around 100k or 98k. That will be equivalent to reach this 135. And still is a bear flag. So this is a bear flag. It broke down, same that Bitcoin is doing. Nothing really new. Solana is not being very creative in here, we could say. Neither many of other altcoins. So let's go with the next coin. And I'm going to refresh this just in case you gave different votes. Remember, this is live. And we got on the second with 4 votes, we have Ethereum. So let's go with Ethereum and let's see where we are. So it's really painful. People are calling for a bull flag in here because it's basically sticking around this area. And remember, months ago, we talked about a revenge rally into 2.7K. So I don't know if you remember, but I'm gonna claim some credit there on having chat about 2.7, and we've been 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks respecting that level. The first week we stopped straight at 2.6, and the highs have been of to 8, but we are staying below to 6, more or less around that area. And it's going to take maybe a little bit more time. Some people are saying that we are going to break out from the bull flag very soon. There's been a trend that I've seen. I think I might be able to show it today. Yeah, I can show it. So if we go to the Ethereum ETFs, we've seen strong inflows in here. I mean, buys in the green on the spot ETF from pretty much all the different ETFs that are available. Whereas if we go to Bitcoin, you're going to see that we had from 29th to the 2nd of June, we have 3 days that were pretty ugly, particularly this one with 600. Some people were speculating that there is a rotation. They call it BlackRock going into Ethereum and dumping a little bit of Bitcoin to just balance portfolios, I guess. But yeah, that's something really positive for Ethereum. Um, if we if this is a rejection in here, which could be, particularly if Bitcoin goes into the 100K, we could see Ethereum pinching a little bit lower and test this one, the 2.2K. That consider it as something doable. Okay, don't rule it out because this is a tough resistance. You can see that from 2022 was being respected. So we are coming back there. We're saying, hello, mate. I haven't seen you in a long time. And then you get a rejection and people get freaked out. But as long as we defend decent levels on that pullback, there's still plenty of upside and it's not guaranteed. So this is a bull flag and it could carry on after just a shallow pullback as well. And let's go and let's see liquidation levels for Ethereum. My plan hasn't changed with Ethereum. It's one of my biggest bags at the moment. I'm not proud about that. I kind of sold a lot of coins right at tops, and you cannot get everything right. So when I saw the third top on Ethereum, something told me, can we do a triple top at 4K? Should I sell? And I felt the urge to sell, but I didn't follow that instinct. And if I did, that would have been really amazing because I did it with most of the coins, but not with Ethereum, and Ethereum was the biggest buy. So, anyways, we are here, and my plan is still to look up for around 4K and beyond what's going on there and how is it going with accumulations of liquidations on certain levels. The 1.2 is very heavy and definitely we're going to hit that. We're going to hit it in bear market, right? So some people are comparing, let me show you something. No, let's leave that aside. So this flag, if we were to succeed, that's something I would like to see. Let me see this. Where is it pointing? No, the other way around. I'm going to do it from the bottom to here. And so far, the lows are this. So let's say we pinch a little bit lower. Let's see a level of liquidity, the 2.2 that I was talking about. So if we were to go to 2.2 and we just have a shallow correction before continuation, an extension of one takes us into 3.6 and a golden pocket into 4.5. 4.5 is definitely going to take most of the liquidity that we have on the top end. Let's zoom out this and let's see if it appears. It's a little bit baggy on Ethereum. It stops sharp there. I don't know why. But there used to be a view in here showing liquidity up until 4.5. So I believe that's still the case. And that's where I'm planning to unload. If I don't unload Ethereum at over 4K, I'm just going to keep it another cycle, or I'm just, give it to charity if it's worth $100 after a few years, which could be the case, but I'm stubborn. I want to sell it at profit. And let me know in the comments if you are holding Ethereum and if you're planning to do what's your current plan for that. Let's look at other things that are going on with Ethereum. So it's at resistance on the weekly in here. After being in that area of value, we had that rally, but we are approaching that resistance very slowly. and there is no decision until we see breakout or rejection, and the area of value held on longs versus shorts. And we were about to see a breakout in here, but we came back to support at 44. So we're back in the area of value. So all this area around here, um, it's an area that I will say it's a good opportunity to accumulate, not on the same day, but it's an area where I will look into the price and look for the price telling me, okay, I'm about to revert from here on lower time frames, or there is some signal. At least that will be my approach. Socials are very low, but are starting to curve up. So there is a bit more noise on Ethereum. If you haven't noticed on crypto, there's a lot more influencers now talking good things about Ethereum versus the past 6 months where everybody was spitting on Ethereum all the way down. Let's go with the next coin. Next coin is SUI, which I haven't done in a while. I don't even know what's going on with SUI. I'm not holding SUI, not because it's bad, just I didn't take the trade on SUI. So we were speculating that we are going to repeat the third heel in here. And so far we are doing a smaller one. And let's see if we had something similar happening around here. I wouldn't say so. In here we have something similar, but from higher. And the resistance is at 80. And something is changing in here in terms of the longs. So the longs used to hold 50 and then bounce. And in here, we went to 50 and they're kind of dumping again into 41. And possibly we're going to get into that 38, but the lowest is around 22. So there is something sneaky going on in here with SUI, because I would have expected the longs to be a bit more persistent with, containing this flag. But I guess it's the effect of Bitcoin pulling back. I guess it's that. We get a next level of support at $3, which is definitely going to be an important level. The last time in here we went back up to 3.4, and then we dump into 1.7. So let's see if 3 can have that effect. Notice that intra candle, as we were holding 3, we pay a visit during that week to 2.4 as well. So it's a quite volatile asset, and we've been having 4 weeks in a row of red. That's very typical for SUI. In here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's kind of the maximum. 5 weeks in a row from a top, and then a bounce, and then the C wave. In here, this looks like it was a decent bounce, and it probably managed to hit the golden pocket at $4.3. So that's quite bullish. Now, what we need to do is ideally hold that $3 to establish the bullish structure and carry on to the upside. If we lose the 3, the last line in the sand, I will say, is 2.4 to maintain the structure. Hopefully at that point we don't put a new low in the RSI. We want to create as well higher lows on the RSI. That will be great if we can also defend that. And to the downside, what do we have on SUI? Oh, great. To the downside. So we have quite a large pull below the price. The extremes of leverage are at around 2,959, so just below $3. This will serve, for that idea of pinching below. And now that I have the chart naked, I'm starting to see a little bit of a head and shoulder in here that I didn't see before. I don't like that pattern happening in here. Bitcoin is kind of putting something similar, if you haven't noticed. But the thing is, since we rally from 74, every single head and shoulders fakes out. It goes down a little bit and then goes and takes the highs. So that is the technical target, just so you know, $1.8. That is not the forecast, it's just let's watch out for what happens. We can go to this liquidity to 2.8 to 2.6 ideally, and let's turn it into a fake out. So that means let's just collect this liquidity and then let's carry on to the upside into the next liquidity in here, which is at $4.2. That will be the bullish case. If we come into this liquidity and we get rejected from the neckline, then we go into the technical target potentially, because the longs are already kind of giving up in the short term. All right, we're getting very close to 3.09, so below 331. Wow. Next coin is SPX. Remember, if you have any question specific to these coins that I'm reviewing, just leave them on the top in the chat. SPX. I think I reviewed this very recently, and we've been in the middle of a rally. And I think I'm gonna use MEX. Yeah, this is the area of interest. There's a confluence in here of technical targets, the parabolic move, the 618 pocket, the next resistance, specifically on the daily, the order block coming down. So it's a tough resistance. I mean, good for SPX if it can break that clean. But so far, it looks like the momentum is hitting resistance and wanting to go into support of 55, which I think it was located at around $1. Um, if we go into this support, ideally from there, we clean some of these excessive longs, we go back to 56 or somewhere less overextended in amount of longs, and from that median, we have a lot more chances to break the top. Of course, unless there is a massive unload in here. Remember, these are meme coins, and meme coins can really dump very hard from a parabolic move from one top, and then it's tough to find the next bottom and re-enter. Otherwise, everybody will get rich with meme coins, which is definitely not the case. Liquidation levels on SPX. Let's look in here. I think I'm not going to remember the numbers, but I did this just a couple of days ago. So it was 0.9 and 0.8. And then on the lower end, this band from 0.3 to 0.4. So the 0.8 is, slightly beyond probably this support. So probably on a weekly basis, we can come below that, take that liquidity and come back up above $1. And then we made it right, we're still above support. If we go to 0.3, 0.4, it's a bit like, okay, that was the end of that was the blow off top of the parabolic move. That will be much more obvious. Let's go with the next one is AAVE, USDT. And let's see on the weekly how things are looking. Wow, this is bullish. There's very little number of coins that are managing to do this. And well, AAVE is one of them. It's fascinating because I think I did at least 2 videos about AAVE, about this area. I think one I did it at 174, saying this is an area to buy, but we can go into 130, which is the next level in the ladder. So if you average those two, and you were paying attention, you will have an average of 150, and that's a 90% to the top. Of course, not implying that you time perfectly the top, but that's kind of the upside. And we have come back down to 244 to hold support, and we are holding it this week decently relative to what the rest of the market is doing, which is pretty crap, right? So look at the rest of the market, and you got AAVE holding the neckline. It's like if Bitcoin now was holding 107. That would be amazing. And let me see the general markets. What's the context at the moment with general markets? I really want to see, are we still in the area of the breakout, or we are seeing a rejection? So there is On the daily, let's see, there's a little bit of red in here, but it's so shallow that it could be interpreted as we are just holding right there, pushing against the weekly resistance for a potential weekly breakout, which is a big deal. You can see that the Nasdaq went up to almost 21,884, and now it's 21,669. Still very strong. And there is a little bit of competition at the moment between crypto and general markets. That previous cycle, it was very coupled, both went up together, but now there's a little bit of a phase effect, like things are rotating a lot more, and that's thanks to ETFs. That's my speculation, right? Because you get Bitcoin ETF, and you get Ethereum ETF, and you get all the other stocks. And an asset manager or someone that is trading can flip between these two things, and they are seeing this breakout and they flip into stocks. So then you're asking, why is crypto doing bad when the Nasdaq is doing really well? Well, maybe they are anticipating that Nasdaq is going to do something first, and then Bitcoin, and then the rest. But if Nasdaq fails, everything is going to carry on to the downside too. Similar effect that you had with Bitcoin and the altcoins. The flow, all when Bitcoin was pumping past cycle, altcoins were waiting, going sideways or slightly bearish. If Bitcoin pumps more and finds a new area, the altcoins pump after. They wait for daddy to do the move. And I think the new daddy is the stocks having an additional influence. But AVE is doing great. It's holding that level. If the general markets manage to do that breakout, I see AVE doing another continuation to upside and pretty intense moves. We have an extension of one at 440 and a golden pocket at 641. We'll keep that in mind. This is just in the context still of a revenge rally. There's still room to go to 72. We haven't exhausted the potential momentum that we can have in that context, and the longs have broken out. They are starting to approach the first percentile, and the final one is at 85 thanks to this move in here. So there's still room, but it's getting a bit overheated, okay? And even in these impulsive moves that you can see in there, there's always a little bit of profit taking. So maybe a little bit more of profit taking. That's doable. That's doable too. In terms of socials, is definitely capturing the attention of people. You can see that in here it pinched the top band at 0.36%, not as high as 0.41, but it's still a thing. In terms of liquidations, let's look at AVE very quickly. And by the way, what's the next coin? It's going to be WIF, another meme coin. We got a decent liquidation at 235 in the past 3 months, and that is still a little bit below support. So support is 240, so just $5 below. We definitely have the opportunity to go there, clean some of these longs, and if we reclaim 240, we could see continuation into the next level of 320. Let's go with WIF. And I've got some new questions in here. Someone is saying, yes, holding Ethereum and will continue to hold. No other choice. Yeah, good point. And good to hear that bullish sentiment on AVE as soon as you saw the chart. Yeah, it looks really good, actually. And I'm holding AVE, but since the past cycle, so I need a decent move up for that. This one is WIF and is hitting the neckline rejection, and probably it looks small, but this is a correction of 43% from that neckline right there. So it's mimicking Bitcoin, and it will continue to mimic Bitcoin. We don't really have to say much more. Of course, if Bitcoin loses 100K, then WIF can go into 55. RSI did a little bit of a breakdown in here on the weekly. No, I'm wrong. So it's still holding. It's still holding the line on the RSI. We have a little bit room to go, probably to test the support at 70 cents. We have clear excessive longs already with the move. So that's amazing to see. And socials are starting to spike, but not very overheated. And liquidation levels. Let's see what comes out. There's nothing really very intense. We just have the previous low, some liquidity. And there used to be something really big at 90 cents, but that is already taken. So those have been already punished. And you can see their pain in here with two candles coming down. Those were taken out. That was probably the largest bag of the past 3 months. And agent, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. I don't pronounce very things properly anyway. So let's put this in here. This is support and resistance. And it's going to be a tough one, right? Because I like to locate it against closing prices. You get two, and I'm not going to put two levels. I'm just going to leave it kind of in the middle. And this is quite a nice pattern because we have a neckline and we have some rejections. We don't have a handle for a cup, but this price action could potentially form a handle. And the neckline, in that case, we need to respect this one. So I will place probably the neckline like this if I want to break out from the low end, a breakout to the upside. And yeah, that handle could complete if we close above 1.5. If we close above 1.5, we get the full breakout of the cap and handle. RSI is at 46. The highest it's been is 49 ever, at least on Binance. And longs are at the very low end at 48. The lowest it's been is pretty much that level. So there's been a lot of liquidations on this coin. Let's see if we can find them. And let's see if there's any leftover. Substantial ones, I care. So we clear 132. And we have 125 is a new level that's sticky there, and 125 and 1 and those are kind of in the halfway through the largest breakout. So in the middle of this range, there is still an opportunity because these two candles couldn't manage to clear that liquidity, so it's still hanging around 1 and 0.8, which is around the lows. So 0.8 is around the lows, 1 is in the middle of the range. And if we get another rejection in here, we could go there. Of course, the best scenario for the longs is to complete the cap and handle. And the target of that, let's see where is the next target. That can bring us into the next resistance of 236 or 230. RSI, it's impossible to do some decent analysis. We've been losing momentum on the daily. That's very clear. We pinched 75, which is the highest daily as well. And now coming back and resetting, and we are holding on the daily this support. So it hasn't been broken, but slowly coming into support. We are now at support of momentum, and we are still at resistance with the price. So if this holds, we have a chance to break out straight away. If this breaks on the daily below, then we have we increase the chances to go for the 1 that we talk about. Cool. Let's go to the next coin. And the next coin is Injective, which I happened to do as well a few days ago. I think you guys are following those. Injective is in a very similar situation against resistance, both on the price against a neckline with a target of $25, and the RSI weekly hasn't broken out yet. In terms of longs and shorts, we're being rejected from the downwards sloping resistance, and at the same time we are against the price resistance. So that is a little bit inconvenient because if this rejects, well, the price will reject and the other side too and everything. And we might get, hopefully, if we get that rejection in here, hopefully we get a higher low so we can break from a position that can provide a spring. In terms of socials, let's have a look. It's not overheated at all. And liquidation levels, Injective. We get a decent level here at $11. That will be a low hanging fruit. This is also starting to look a little bit toppy, in my opinion. You know, just looking at the price action there, another head and shoulder. It's kind of everywhere, head and shoulders. 11, and then we get $8.75. So we got the 11. Where is 11? It's around mid range. Yeah. And 9 and 8.5 are around the previous support. So remember, there was here a double bottom before the breakout. So around that 9.85, we also have some liquidations because that's the point where we had this green candle on the daily. And that's why there's so much liquidity there. Cool. Let's go to the next one. And the next one is DOGE. I think this week we are going at a better pace compared to last week. Last week, I kind of stayed too long with the initial coins, which some people might appreciate, but some other want to go into their own coin and they have to wait too long. Uh, with Dogecoin, so this is kind of the lead for the rest of the meme coins. In many situations, I've noticed that it's not always going to be the case, but since it was one of the earliest meme coins, um, let's see. So at the moment, it's going into 18 cents. The next support is 16.6. It's very close, and we couldn't hold the 22. And we have this ascending support that we haven't tested in a while, that the area of impact will be around 14 if we go there. And on the weekly, let's focus on the RSI here. So have we lost the first line of defense? We are now about to test it. Basically, that is 44. So where the price is, more or less, the RSI has the most bullish support of the breakout. Longs versus shorts. Longs are not really heavy. They had a comeback after being at 6%. I haven't seen a number like this in a long while. And they reach a peak of 29 and corrected to 23. But definitely we are far from where we were in December. We were in a range of 60s and 50s. So there's room to go for longs and shorts. There's room to go for socials. This can spike up to 20% in socials, but that was February 2021. And now we are kind of in a median of around, let's say, 3%, 2.8. And at the moment, we are at 2.3. So not overheated, definitely not, and pulling back. Liquidation levels. Sorry. Liquidations. Do I have Dodge here? No. So in scalping, yes. Let's do it on Binance. And we just get 1 hour. So again, we won't have much data because it's just the 1 hour. And we just hit a decent liquidation in here, as you can see. That was a red one. So it was larger than whatever there is below at 16 and 14. And on the top end, we have this 23 to 24. That is the largest leftover on the top end. If we put 10x's, there are still some liquidity left from all these highs that we pinched multiple times. That's the 25th cents. And we could leave that if we get an all-time high on Bitcoin. That is doable. And thanks to this being, we're pretty close to that. So that is just a 42%. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, unfortunately, we are in the 1 hour. So it's not catching a lot more from the past. It's not catching anything that's happening here, which is very inconvenient. What can we get here? We got the 23. We got 25. We just pinched that, was also appearing on Trading Different. And there is at 16. So let's say 16 is important and 23 is important. And 16 is right below the support. So hitting that support, it seems like it's going to track the price there. And on the top end, we have that 23 that was thanks to people entering here at the highs, at the recent highs. Cool. Next coin is BTC. All right. So I'm going to go with BTC and I'm going to actually, I want to see how things are looking in the chart at the moment. We completed the head and shoulders. Wow. Yeah, because this looks like a head and shoulders, right? And the aggressive sellers are spiking, I mean, upside down, are going lower. That means that there are more aggressive sellers on the CBD. And I don't really trust the depth ratio 2.5 on Market Monkey terminal. I really need to speak to Anthony because this candle in here is showing that there is a lot of limit orders below the price. It's even 22 on 2.5. If you go to high block capital, it's barely 0.01, as you can see there. And if we look into, let's say, trading light, the ratio is the ratio of, imagine you aggregate all these numbers on the top, all those limit orders to sell, and then you grab all the limit orders to buy. The ratio is basically the ratio of the sum of both. And there is not much in here. They're holding a little bit 103.3, and there's a big red candle, the largest in all this area, only similar to this, getting similar to this dumpy area of here. And we are taking this low, not yet. Let's go back to the chart to see the more detail. We are pinching this support in here. That is 103.6. We held that from there. And if we get a close below that, that will be interesting, particularly if it's breaking the order block. Actually, I would like to get into 102 and 101 because that will really, open the door for a deeper correction. And a deeper correction is good for shorts and for longs. For shorts, because you're taking profits from the short, and to re-enter in an area of value to then benefit from a better long. That's how I'm thinking, right? This area in here, I've been intentionally avoiding the long in here because of the weakness, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to claim anything until it happens because anything can happen. No one knows what's going to happen, really. On the daily, we are about to hit support. That is that 46 that we've been talking since we are here at 71. We're talking about coming here. We finally did it. The momentum has gone now back into dark red on the MACD. And let's see. Well, the weekly is pinching the weekly support. So I prefer that we do bearish things to take advantage of my shorts, and I prefer that by the end of the week we reclaim 104. So at that point I will have entered in a long, we will have reclaimed support on the weekly, and I can start hitting higher price targets, assuming that general markets are managing to hold this promising very, very early, low quality, promising breakout to the upside that could turn perfectly into a rejection. Again, no one knows how this is going to end. My opinion is that the first time that we hit this, we should see a little bit of a pullback, and it should disappoint people. It cannot be so clean of moving 30 points, hitting a massive level of resistance, and just crossing it like nothing. Um, that will be the case if they say we're going to cut all the rates, everybody's happy in the world, and stuff like that. It needs to be a little bit bigger to achieve that from the technical point of view. Um, what else can we say about Bitcoin today? Anything changing relevant? Well, we're spending some time now inside the CPR pivots. Any signal, anything important? If not, I'm going to just go into the next coin. Guys, if you have any specific question about Bitcoin, just leave it in the comments down there and we'll go back into Bitcoin to answer it. Otherwise, I'm going with ADA that we haven't reviewed in a while either. ADA USDT. I am a holder of ADA, so I I definitely care about this bag as well. It's not as big as Ethereum, but I still have. Um, hmm, okay, my hope of completing a double bottom in here massive is, we could say, gone. Let's call it what it is. So this went up all the way here. We managed to get to that resistance of 83, but we got a rejection and we're losing 68. So there's not much more to really spoil fully the pattern. Um, what can we do in here really? So if we connect these 2 points, we are testing that support there. Let's remove this because it's going to distract me and the target too. And let's see if we can form a squeeze. No. Trump made so difficult to trade this in here. He had the crazy idea of pumping this over the weekend. I mean, he didn't want to, but unintentionally he caused this with the tweet. And it went all the way to 113 in a week. That was a move of 100% in a single week candle. Crazy. So I was expecting that we can also do something big like that very quickly, but we are kind of de-inflated here in terms of momentum, and that is showing in this area. At some point, we were reclaiming the low support that was bullish, and we were talking, well, if we hold in here, we can make another rally to the top. But you can see how clear so far is this rejection. So what we have left is to see where this is going to stop, right? So if it gets rebought after week end, we could place it like this. If it closes lower, it's going to be like that. And based on that slope, we can start speculating direction. But at the moment, it's a little bit of a dumpy area, and it's critical to hold that support there and to maintain a higher low to continue talking about upside. Otherwise, it could happen the same as it happened with Ethereum, that we have a breakout, then it loses one level and another level. Remember, I started the video saying that we do this when ADA is kind of starting to do that. Not, it hasn't gone as far as with Ethereum. Ethereum was really bearish this year. Liquidation levels. Let's go here. ADA. My plan. Devastated. Absolutely. We're going to have to find another thesis on ADA. But there's plenty of motivation for market maker to get rid of all of this before going into a bear market. This liquidation area here is massive. Um, yeah, this is the line I was talking about. And if it breaks going into 50 cents, that will be a new low. If we do that, I think in order to achieve that 50 cents on ADA, Bitcoin needs to kind of puke now soon. Otherwise, this is gonna just hold support and go back into 87, 90 is absolutely doable. Even if we broke some levels, if Bitcoin reclaims, then in no matter of days, we hit 90 cents and we're back in the game. If Bitcoin does something good too, then the 1.2 to 1.3 is area of interest. Definitely, we're going to continue monitoring that and seeing how we can get there. The double bottom hypothesis won't do the trick, but you know, let's monitor patterns like this. This is on the daily. On the weekly, I don't see this, but on the daily, we are seeing this triangle, which is not coming from an uptrend. It's just a triangle in the middle of a range. And March, we have these highs, then higher highs. So yeah, that if we hold the support, we can get a rally into 90 cents. At 90 cents, we hit against resistance, from the downward sloping. And then we could stay a little bit longer within the triangle. And then we need to see if we can do the breakout from somewhere to get at that level, depending on timing, how high we can get. And let's do a little bit of Fibonacci if I have time. So far the lows are those, and the extension of one can get us into $15, and that takes all the liquidity. So it's doable. It's not something like, sometimes to get some to liquidity, you need to go even beyond the golden pocket, and that's when I feel like, hey, stop dreaming. It's not going to happen. But this is within the range doable, because we just did that, so we could do it again, right? We just need a strong narrative to come back, that everybody starts talking about ADA. And I think by the end of the year, there is still chances that we get that narrative. I've heard it already plenty of times, but I'm not a fundamental uh, trader. Okay, next coin, probably one of the last ones. So we got Pendleton. So I'm gonna give priority to the people that are in the live stream, guys. If you want me to do any specific coins that are below ADA, so Pendleton, ENS, Hype, XRP, Near, and ONDO, I will do it next. I'm gonna start in the meantime with Pendle, but just leave it in the comments, and I will give preference to the people that manage to show off, show up. Sorry, show off. What am I talking about? And this is Pendle. I got no clue what this coin does, but it's kind of doing this from the technical point of view. And we got like a pattern like this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of respecting these lines of support and resistance. And at the same time, we are kind of getting a breakout, and now we are in the process of testing the breakout. So that was definitely a breakout in this area here. We managed to reach almost $5 for 724, and coming back into $4. And $4 is an important level because it's got plenty of necklines, double tops, right? We broke down, and it's ideal if we can hold the 4 price there, or if we go slightly lower within the week, that we can reclaim it. And let's see if I can find Pendle. I'm sure it's not in trading different. Yeah, in terms of shorts and longs, we are taking a dip in here. Socials are not overheated, and the liquidation levels, let's decrease this. The $3 mark is massive, and then we got the 474 at the top, and 3 and 474. 474 is around these highs, and 3 is, well, it's a little bit lower, it's around here. So I'm gonna leave a mark at $3 where we have the liquidation levels. Go away. At that level, we have liquidations, and it's not that big of a deal, really, if we go there. That will be kind of a correction of 50% Fibonacci, the extension. We just need to make sure that that's definitely going to fake out the breakout. So that's a little bit annoying. I will prefer that we find a level that doesn't necessarily cancel out this, so we don't lose that much momentum and we can go like this. Since this is trading in a range, let me put in here a volume profile. So we get a better candidate in here for holding support, which is $3.4. That's the point of control. And it will be nice if this correction holds that level, assuming that we have already lost the $4, because the $4 is at risk now with the move of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin not holding the current levels, not doing any sort of reaction, not increasing the amount of orders they are there, and not seeing a spike here in the bidding is a little bit sketchy, because, for example, in here we were dumping, and since around, um, you can see from here, from 109, they were already loads of buying orders. There was interest to hold. Then in here, some people sold, and then they were holding and putting orders to buy, to buy the dip. It was aggressive buyers, and we saw up until no, that they were defending the collapse. But now we are making a decent move down, a decent red candle, and this is all that we get, a 0.001 in the bid ratio, and that can affect other coins. So we need to assume a little bit, not the worst, but assume that things might not necessarily hold an immediate level of support. And if that's the case, what's next? Just to have it on the table, prepare for any potential plan. And that will be nice if it holds 3.3, because that's the point of control. And okay, I got some requests. So we got ONDO and NEAR. Let's do precisely those. Uh, okay, we got ONDO in here. We lost the rally in here. This is kind of a deeper correction in the momentum at the moment, and we are going potentially into 76 cents to test that support. I don't like the look of this, because there's a try in here, then there is an explosive move, and then another try. That's a head and shoulder. Of course, we cannot use the technical target because it's gonna have a target in negative. But coming in there, you get a very bearish looking kind of price of action. Why is that? Because Honda was very bullish. I'm thinking, um, let's see if we can hold the previous lows of 66. Longs are being smashed, and socials are extremely quiet. Like, no one is giving a damn about Ondo at the moment in social networks. And in terms of liquidation levels to the downside, where could we hit next? Well, we already hit and punished big these guys at 81, 82 cents, and they're out of the way. Um, so that will be officially a great news if we were able to see more than 3 months. If we were able to see what's here below 64. Have we been around there? Yeah, definitely. So if we go back in time here, there is, let's say, 300 days, or more than just 90 days, because 90 days is just this liquidity coming from that. I want to see what liquidity was left here. Probably we have at 60 cents some decent levels, but I'm looking at the weekly, so I don't see the liquidity on the 4-hour daily. I don't see these moves where was left that liquidity, so we can assess if we are going to see an attraction into 65, and that's the information I'm missing. We just know the positive, which is very biased, by the way, but that we took 81, and that's a good news because that is out of the way and in the close proximity. So between where we are and 66, there is not much more incentive to go lower. So that's why I wanted to see what's there, but it's not available. And the next one is near. And with that, I'm gonna finish for today. And I wanna do the market close update later tonight because it's looking dumpy. So I wanna also look into the charts to see whether if I'm gonna close some positions I have or not. Near, well, kind of taking deeper correction in here of the first line of support. So many coins are gonna do that definitely. So what we need to be looking is where is the next support. Next support is at 188, followed by 11. Ideally, we want to hold somewhere in here, creating a higher low. That will be great. Yeah, but I have to say that I don't like how the price action of near looks this cycle. It's just too dumpy, no higher highs, and really far away from the previous highs in 2021. And yeah, holding the lows, we can get continuation of this rally into next level of resistance, but we need to adapt expectations because it's not looking that healthy this time. We are in an area of value in terms of how many longs we took. We are at 39, and you can see the frequency of 39, between 39 and 29 in this case, but vast majority of the time in the cycle, 39 tends to be an area that gets bought up. It's a weekly chart, so it won't be, there's the whole week price range to find where to enter while this is very low. So you can drop the chart to daily and look a little bit, fine tune this. So if you have access to the indicator, uh, within the week, you find an area that is pinching big things. For example, when we were at 24 on the daily, while the weekly is also at a very low area, you get two different time frames saying that the longs have had a really bad time, and you enter in a long when they have the worst time ever, and then you're a hero, right? That's the point of trading, I guess. Some of the best alpha is coming from that. All right, guys. So I'm gonna close down just in time, more or less, the live stream today. And remember, if you're watching this video on Friday or later, that's because I put it public. The original stream is private just for elite members. If you want to join to get a chance to choose the coins that you want me to review and get to ask questions live while we are doing these private sessions once a week, then look up for the link in the description to join my Patreon as an elite member. And guys, I hope you enjoy if you are elite member. Let me know your feedback in the Patreon community. There's a section in the website called community specifically for elite. If you want me to change anything on the sessions, we are already discussing about incorporating some Pine script sessions, maybe once a month or twice a month, that we could do also interactively, where we take a few tasks on Pine script, things that are high value and low effort. And then we can use that to learn a little bit more technical things, how to build indicators, how to set up alerts and stuff like that. Let me know if you're an elite, if you want that. There's an article asking you specifically for that. It's got like plenty of votes, but I want to hear your opinion as well. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.